أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيت طيبين الطاهرين سيما الحجة بقية الله الأعظم روحي وأرواحنا له فداء ولعن دائم على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So the last two nights we spoke a bit about having an attachment to the hereafter, why it's important to have an attachment to the hereafter, and some of the benefits of having an attachment to the hereafter. So one of the effects of having an attachment to the hereafter is that we understand the relation between what? This worldly life and the hereafter. And we shouldn't make a false comparison between the different pleasures that we experience in this life and in the hereafter, because all our pleasures in this world will either be conditioned by limitations or they will be conditioned by their opposites, where when we talk about something which is infinite, that's not the case. All the pleasures in the hereafter will always be infinite. And there's a difference between the two things. Hence, we shouldn't make this false comparison that a lot of us do. So we should change our perception when it comes to the hereafter. Tonight's topic is going to be about the relation between the intellect and believing in the hereafter. How does your intellect become stronger, or how are you becoming more intelligent as a person when you believe in the hereafter? Because when we speak about intelligence or being intelligent, normally we think that it's conditioned by you having an education. That's quite common in our communities, our societies. We believe that the most educated individuals are also the most intelligent individuals. That's something we see quite often. We ask them, what are your credentials? That's the first thing we ask a person, to look if the person is intelligent or not. Why you see Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he defines intelligent as a whole other thing. Like being an intellectual person and being an intelligent person is way different from being educated. There's a huge difference. Just because you're educated, you studied, you have a PhD, you have a doctorate degree, something, doesn't mean that you're an intelligent person according to the teachings of Islam. In fact, we look at something way different, and the benchmark to find out whether a person is being defined as an intelligent person or not, according to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, is that he looks at the outcome of things that he do or the actions that he perform. In a narration from Amir al-Mu'mineen, he states, أَعْقَلُ النَّاسِ أَنْدَرَهُمْ فِي الْأَوَاقِبِ. The most intelligent person or the most intelligent people are the people that look at the outcome of things and not the action itself. And what's the outcome of our lives? That's the hereafter. Hence we understand the most intelligent person is what? Somebody who focuses on the hereafter, who takes the hereafter, he adds the hereafter into the equation when he wants to plan his life in this worldly life. He looks at the hereafter as well. So we shouldn't mistake being educated for what? For being intelligent. No, it's two different things. In fact, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he says that no, if you want to be an intelligent person, make sure that you understand the relation between this life and the hereafter, because the hereafter will be the outcome of this life. But respected brothers and sisters, there's ways to strengthen your intellect and there's ways to weaken it as well. And one of the ways that we see a lot of people, they weaken their intellect through those actions are what we call sins, or dhanb basically. In a hadith we have, again from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Man faraqa dhanban faraqahu aqlun la yurja ilayhi abada. A person who commits a sin, a part of that person's intellect will be separated from him, and it's not going to come back to that person forever. It's going to leave him forever. In other words, sins are doing what? Weakness our intellect. And if you think about it for a second, a lot of our ahkam and our rulings, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes something to be a haram, in other words, what we call muharramat, a lot of them is what? Addictions. Addictions. For example, we say that consuming alcohol is haram, right? We have many people that consume alcohol, they're addicted to it as well. Gambling is haram in Islam. There's types of music that are haram in Islam. Why? They're addictive. They're addictive. There's certain things that you shouldn't look at, which is unlawful for you to look at. Why? Because they're addictive. To an extent where psychologists, they say that your brain becomes hardwired and only releases dopamine if you satisfy your need through these means. In other words, you become an addict when it comes to these things. You're addicted to these things then. And the problem and the issue with addictions, you know what it is? That is that it creates a disharmony, or ruins the harmony, and it creates chaos between two things, your heart and your intellect. Because your intellect is a tool to look at the outcome of things, but when you're attached to that thing, you don't look at the outcome anymore. You don't care about the results. You look at that pleasure that you're facing or experiencing right here, right now. Just like a person who's addicted to gambling. He's not looking at the outcome. He's going to lose his family. He's going to lose his house, his car, his job. He's going to lose all of these things. He doesn't look at that. He looks at the pleasure right here, right now. And that ruins the harmony that should exist between what? The heart and the intellect. Hence, in another narration we have, احذر سكر الخطية فإن للخطية سكرا كسكر الشراب. Be aware of the intoxication or the feeling of being intoxicated that sins provide you with. Because this intoxication is what? Is worse than the intoxication of what? Consuming alcohol. It's worse than that and more addictive than that. And then he states, وَهِيَ بَلْ هِيَ أَشَدُّ سُكْرًا مِّنْ. It's worse than that. It's more severe, this type of addiction. In other words, it ruins your relationship to the hereafter. A person that keep committing sins, he ruined his understanding, his perception of the hereafter as well. Why? Because he's focused on the couple of superficial pleasures that is right in front of his nose. He doesn't look at the outcome. In other words, he destroys one of the most important aspects of his intellect and one of the most important functions of his intellect, which is what? To look at the outcome of things. If we're not able to look at the outcome of things, dear brothers and sisters, we're not going to be intellectual individuals or intelligent. So don't look at education. Don't let this worldly life fool you. Hope he has a degree, for example, PhD degree. He's a professor in the university. Look at this person. Does he look at the outcome of his actions or not? I don't care about information. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam didn't care about information. That itself is not a benchmark for whether you're an intelligent person or not. Are you able to look at the outcome of your actions and things in life? If you are, then you're an intelligent person. Respected brothers and sisters, believing in the hereafter strengthens your intellect. Why? Because you become able to look at the outcome of things. Every action you're about to perform, you always tell yourself, does this benefit my hereafter or not? And that strengthens one of the most important functions of the intellect, which is to look at the outcome of things. Hence, believing in the hereafter strengthens your intellect as well. In this worldly life, I'm not talking about the hereafter. Those pleasures and blessings for itself, that's another discussion. In this worldly life, looking at the outcome of things makes you an intelligent person. You understand the consequences of your actions. So you don't end up like a person who ruins his own life because he looks at the pleasure right here, right now. Imagine a person, he buys the biggest four-wheel drive car, the biggest four-wheel drive car. He buys it and you ask him, why did you buy this car? He said, I bought this car because now and then I want to go around the corner and buy some yogurt from Tesco. You would laugh at that person. You would say, what kind of intelligent? Why? Because he doesn't look at the outcome. He doesn't look at the consequences. You know how much money you're going to pay for that four-wheel drive? You know how much money you're going to spend on it, on the insurance, on keeping it, the parking, because of what? You want to buy some yogurt around the corner? We all laugh, yeah? But a person who understands the relation between this worldly life and the hereafter, he becomes a person that laughs of people that don't take the hereafter into consideration. Just like we laugh at this example as well. But this is the reality for a lot of individuals. No, Sheikh, let me have some pleasure in this world. Let me enjoy this world. Why are you not looking at the outcome? You want to be a person that jumps into a four-wheel drive and go buy some yogurt around the corner? This is what happens if you don't believe in the hereafter and have that relational attachment to the hereafter. In other words, you weaken your intellect to an extent where you don't look at the outcome and the consequences of your own actions. That's why one of the best ways to plan your life is to always to take your hereafter into consideration, because when you do that, you're filtrating all the actions you shouldn't perform and that harms you. You filtrate it out. It all gets filtrated. It gets caught in that filter. And that's your belief in the hereafter. Hence, this is a very important discussion. Why the intellect helps us to solve the conflict that we have between the attachments and the heart. In other words, if we want to prioritize between the different attachments or what we attach to in life, strengthen your intellect. How can you do that? Hereafter. And we explained yesterday how to get that attachment with the heart to the hereafter. Is to look beyond the limits of this worldly life and attach yourself and direct all your actions and have the right intention behind your actions. Then you will solve this issue, this war that exists for a lot of people between their intellect and their hearts. In other words, their attachments and their intellect. But trust me, because a lot of people, they know what they're doing is wrong. They're not stupid. So why is it their intellect is telling them something, but because their intellect is so weak, they can't really resist their attachment anymore. They can't resist their heart anymore. Hence, if you want to have healthy attachments, you need to strengthen your intellect. And the way to do that is believing in the hereafter and having the attachment with the heart to the hereafter. Please recite the salawat. Once a person came to me who was like, Sheikhna, why is it we have so many narrations about not sitting with foolish people? Poor guys, they need some knowledge as well. Why is it? You know why? Because sitting with a foolish person or a fool, that weakens your intellect as well. It ruins your capability to actually understand or see the outcome of your action as well. Listen to this narration. He said, إِيَّاكَ وَمُصَادَقَةِ الْأَحْمَقِ. إِيَّاكَ, stay away from becoming friends with what? An ahmaq, which basically is a fool. فَإِنَّكَ أَسَرَّ مَا تَكُونُ مِنْ نَاحِيَتِي أَقْرَبُ مَا يَكُونُ إِلَى مَسَائِتِكَ. And this person is going to affect you and make you foolish as well, and it's going to affect you whether you like it or not. If a person has a disease or has a flu, you can take your precautions, right? You can wash your hands, not get close to him, not hug him, and so on and so forth. But with a foolish person, the Imam, he says it's the opposite. He's going to affect you whether you like it or not, whether you take your precautions or not. And we need this ability to look at the outcome of what? Of our actions. And you can't do that if you have a person or a friend who's foolish, who's a fool, and he keeps weakening your intellect as well. In other words, stay away from these individuals. And we have so many narrations about it. Listen to this narration, which is even worse. عَدُوٌ عَاقِلْ خَيْرٌ مِنْ صَدِيقٍ أَحْمَقٍ. An enemy who's an intelligent person is better for you than a foolish friend. Than a friend who's a fool. Why? Because your enemy, he doesn't weaken your intellect. He doesn't do that, but this person does. In other words, he ruins your capability to look at the outcome of your actions and your lifestyle. Well, we said that it's one of the most important functions of the intellect, which you can strengthen by having an attachment to the hereafter. So what happens to our worldly life then? What happens to our worldly life? Okay, fine, we understand. It strengthens our intellect. But what about this worldly life? Do we have any narrations about this worldly life? It would change or be different if we actually believe in the hereafter, or if we are concerned about the hereafter and we look at the outcome of our actions. Yes, we have. In a narration, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he states, "Man asbaha wa amsa wal akhira akbaru hammi." The one who let his days pass by and his biggest concern is his hereafter. What happens to this person? جَعَلَ اللَّهُ الْغِنَى فِي قَلْبِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would make this person independent. Even though he sits in the metro, he doesn't feel that he's missing out on something in life. He's not thinking about the great cause, the expensive cause and all that. He has independence in his heart. Why? He's concerned about the hereafter. وَجَمَعَ لَهُ أَمْرَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take care of his affairs. He shouldn't be worried. And listen to the last part about sustenance. وَلَمْ يَخْرُجْ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا حَتَّى يَسْتَكْمِلُ رِزْقَهُ. He's not going to leave this world before we completed his sustenance. In other words, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a budget for every single human being, if it was 10 million for that person, he would get that 10 million. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises that. So now's the question, what happens if the person doesn't believe in the hereafter? He's not concerned about his hereafter. Listen to the continuation of this narration. وَمَنْ أَصْبَحَ وَأَمْسَى وَالدُّنْيَا أَكْبَرُ هَمِّهِ. The person who let his days pass by and his biggest concern is this worldly life. What happened to this person? جَعَلَ اللَّهُ الْفَقْرَ بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ. This person, he sees poverty in front of his eyes all the time. He can sit in the most expensive car, but he still feels like something's missing in life. He can sit in a palace, but he's still empty inside. جَعَلَ بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ means that he sees poverty in front of his eyes. Not that he's going to be a poor person, but he's going to consider himself to be a poor person and empty inside all the time, even though he might have all things in this worldly life. In other words, he's not going to be pleased with nothing in his life. وَشَتَّتَ أَمْرَهُ. And all his affairs are going to be split. This person is going to have a big chaos in his life. And then he explains, وَلَمْ يَنِلْ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَا قَسَمَ لَهُ. And his sustenance will not be completed like the other person. In other words, he's running after this worldly life, but this worldly life is pulling him backwards until it removes him from the door of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just going to leave him hanging. That's it. You stay there, you're not going to get anything from the sustenance. In other words, when you look for the hereafter, this worldly life will be coming running after you as well. And that's a narration from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. A person who thinks or is concerned about the hereafter, this worldly life will come in a humble way towards him. It would seek him. Hence Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he said, foolish is the person who's trying to run away from what? From death that he can't escape, and he's trying to attain or obtain a worldly life which he will never get. He will never be pleased in this worldly life, this person, if his biggest concern is this worldly life, dear brothers and sisters. So, question, Sheikh, are you telling us that we're not going to face problems and hardships in life if we believe in the hereafter? No, nobody's exempted. But you know what the difference is? A person who's concerned by his hereafter, all the hardships he faces in life would only make him grow. In other words, it's going to be hardships which are going to be beneficial for him. It's going to be trial which is going to be beneficial for him. Like a person that walks into a gym and he lifts some weights. Why? Because he knows the hardship I'm going through right now, I'm going to see the benefits of it. I'm going to see the effects of it, the results of it. But a person whose biggest concern in this worldly life, the hardships and the problems and the issues and the troubles he faces in life, they will be self-inflicted and that won't help him grow. Once I had a teacher, he was visiting Imam Rida alayhi salam, if I'm not mistaken. So he was standing next to the dhari of Imam Rida. Then he saw a man who came and he shed tears and he was crying and he was listening to what he said. And this man, he was crying, he was talking about his issue, he was complaining to the Imam about all his problems in life. Then after my teacher, he noticed something, and that is that person, you know what he's complaining about? He's jealous of his neighbor. He was jealous of his neighbor. Question, brothers and sisters, do you think this person is going to benefit from this problem that he's facing in life? Or is it self-inflicted because of his own jealousy? He was complaining to the Imam about something which was rooted in what? Him being jealous, a spiritual disease. How is such a self-inflicted hardship going to benefit and make this person grow? Impossible. In contrary to a person who's concerned about his hereafter and therefore he doesn't compromise on his responsibility, he takes care of his responsibility and he will see the effects of it. He will grow with his responsibility. He'll be a strong person. Not like this person is ruining himself because of these self-inflicted hardships he's facing in life. They're way different. Hence, dear brothers and sisters, if we want to strengthen our intellect, we can do it by being attached to the world, to the hereafter. Not being attached to this worldly life. Why? Because what is it that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi he said? The most intelligent person is the person who looks at the outcome of things. And the outcome of this worldly life is the hereafter. Hence, our focus should be on the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq, inshaAllah, to always be focused on the hereafter so we can strengthen our intellect and look at the outcome of our actions and direct them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.